Hi guys, welcome back. Okay, today you'll be writing your first code. Yay! Now let's dive right in. Our goal for today is we will learn what HTML is and why it is important. Then we'll discover the different HTML tags and what they do. We'll also write our first HTML page from scratch. And then we'll see our code come to life using a web browser. Now, before we continue, I want you to make sure your Visual Studio Code is installed. So now I'll be teaching you the coding tools. A code editor is a special program for writing code. There are so many code editors out there. You have the Sublime, you have the Notepad. But today, since I like Visual Studio Code, I want you to use that. Do you know why? It helps you write your code faster. It is free and powerful. It's used by professional developers. It is colorful. It has colorful code highlighting and it gives you helpful suggestions as you type. As you are typing, it gives you hints on what to write. Then it works on all computers. If you're using a Windows, if you're using MacBook, perfect. So now I want you to make sure you install it. Now, how do you do that? You go to your code.visualstudio.com. Click on download button, choose your computer type. You can see the image I have right here. Now this is for Windows, this is for MacBook. Then you choose, this is for Linux. You choose the one you want the system you are using. For me, I have Windows, so I selected this one when I was installing. You click on this and you follow the instruction steps. Now, let us take a look at the Visual Studio Code interface, where we have the main editor area, which is right here. You can see my screen. This huge space right here is your main editor area, and this is where you type your code. We have the File Explorer, which is this one, and this is where you see your files, this or either this or this. This is File. Now let me show you what it looks like. This is your File Explorer. It does the same thing. This is where you add a folder or you add your file, and then you have this as well that does the same thing, where you can open a folder or a file. Now we continue. We also have extensions view. Now this is for adding special features. Let me show you what the extension looks like. This icon right here. Now look at what it looks like in the VS Code. This is your extension. Now let me hover on it. What are you seeing? Extensions, Control plus Shift plus X, which makes it easy for you to open the extension panel. Now the extension houses a whole lot of tools that you use for editing, for your coding. Extensions make your work easier. When you get a good extension, it helps you do a lot of things in your VS Code. Okay. The next one for us to know is terminal. There's something like terminal. Now, terminal is for advanced users. Right now, we are not getting to that point. So this is what it looks like, just in case you are interested in knowing. You click on this tiny dot here, and it pops out something, terminal. You click on terminal, you select the new terminal, and this is what your terminal looks like. It is for advanced coding. So you shouldn't be worried about it right now. Now back to our code. Let's make a home for our website. Now, how do you make a home for your website? You make a home by creating a folder Do you all know how to create a folder? If you do not, this is how it's done. You see this picture I have over here. You right click on the open space on your desktop. I'll show you how it's done, but then you take a good look at this image and you will see. You right click on the desktop page, just the clear space. You will see this. You click on new and then you click on folder. Okay, now let me show you how it is done. I'll be going to my desktop to show you how it is done. Now right here, you right click on your page, click on new, and then you go to folder and you write the folder name. You write your folder name and the name is, I will be using my first website. Wonderful. So this is what I want. This is what I want as the name of my folder. You can use anything you want, but we'll be sticking with this. So now we'll go back to our work. Okay, this is what the folder does. Let me break it down for you. Before you can start coding or working on your VS Code, you need to house it using a folder. You give it the name of whatever website you want to create, just to make it easy for you to find. Now, just like I said, you cannot do anything if you've just created a folder. You still need to create a file. A folder is just there looking at you, a home. It is just a home, an empty home, which you need to furnish. Now, you don't just have an empty house and stay there just like that. You have to add your cushion, you add several things. And now the cushion in this case is the file. When you create a folder, you still need to add something inside. So your folder is just like your backpack. Now, what do you do when you have a backpack? You store things inside. Now we'll continue. And one thing I want us to see is that when you are coding, you notice that it does not look the same as your normal text. It doesn't give you the opportunity to format your text. Just like when we created the Google Sites website, where you just highlight a text and it will show you if you want it to be bold, if you want to increase the font. No. Now we are doing the main business of coding. You have to do every single thing yourself. So now there's one thing about this Visual Studio Code. It's colorful. It colors different parts of your code. It makes it easier to read and understand. Now look at this image right here. It's an example of your code. This is the HTML tag, and now the IMG there is white. The source is pink. The text here is green. It makes it colorful for you, and it helps you to differentiate things. It helps you to differentiate your code from the normal text you are writing. That's one wonderful thing about VS Code. Now, I also want you to remember to save your work. Yes, as you're working with your VS Code, always press your Control S, Control plus S, or you go to the file and you save it. Always remember to save your work. Okay, so now, since we already have a folder, I'm sure you have created your own folder by now. I want to show you how to open your folder. Now we're going to the code. Now it gives you an option here where you can just click open folder. Where you can just click open folder and it will open the folder. Then there's another option right here where you can say the file, where you can easily open a folder. This is it here. And then there's another option here, this icon here, which is where you open the folder. So now we're using this. When you click on it, you go to your desktop. and then you get the website. I'll be using my first website, which is the one, since we created the folder on our desktop, you can now find it inside the desktop as well when you go to your file explorer. So now I'll be clicking on it and I'll select folder. Now this is how you select a folder in your HTML. The next thing I want you to note is useful keyboard shortcuts. The first one is Ctrl+S, which helps you save a file. Then you have the Ctrl+Z, which helps you undo what you did before and mistakenly deleted. If you hold the Ctrl and Z, it brings it right back. It removes it. And then the Ctrl+Y to redo. Like if you mistakenly deleted something, you hold the Ctrl+Y, it brings it right back for you. If you feel you don't want that text, you now press the Ctrl+Z to undo it, to remove it for you from the VS Code. You delete it by pressing the Ctrl+Z. It's not delete, it just removes it from there. Takes you back to the last thing you typed. Now the Ctrl+F is the find text. When you hold your Ctrl+F, it opens a search bar where you can just type in a text and it will search for it in the VS Code. Now that's wonderful. So we'll move on. One thing I want you to install that will help us in this project is a live server. Now if you click the extensions icon, we'll do that. Now this is the extension icon. You click on it. It pops up a search bar. And what you do here is you search for a live server. Live server. This is it. When you open live server, you just install it. Mine is already installed, so I don't need to do it again, but you have to. This install here is what you're going to be doing here, assuming you do not have it already. So that is important. You need to install it. I will tell you what it does for you. Why do we need a live server? We need it because that's the best way to see what you are writing in your code in your browser. I told you before in our first class that if you write a code, your browser helps you see it. So now how do you tell your browser to show you what you just typed? That is by using a live server. I hope that makes sense. So since we've installed that, we'll continue. So now to preview your work, you need your live server. And if you do not have a file in your work, there is nothing you are going to view. We only have a folder right now, so we need to add a file. I already told you that you cannot just create, you cannot just house your page, your work, without adding content inside. Now, how do you create a page using VS Code? Because as it is now, you can see the name we gave our folder right here, which is my website. You cannot do anything. It doesn't give you the room to type anything, nothing. So that's why you need to create a file. And how do you create a file? You go to this place that file is written, go to new file, and then create a file, or you use the shortcut here, this one right here. When you hover on the place that the name of your folder is showing, when you hover on it, you see an icon that says new file, and you click on it. Once you click on it, you give it a name. Let's say the name is index.html. Now, whatever name you give it is okay, but one thing is compulsory. It needs to have the .html as the last text. This is what lets your VS Code know that you are writing HTML. It is a must. I'm not asking you to please do it or not. It is a must. So if you want to say your own website name would be toy. Now you have to say toy.html. That's the must. You have to. So like I said, did you notice that when I added files, it gave you the room to edit anything or add anything you want? Now, this is it. Here you can decide to add You cannot do something like this because the only thing it recognizes is code, the tags. But then we'll still get to that part. You don't have to be worried. Now let's move to the next thing, which is previewing your HTML. And you can only view it with live server. And the next step, which is organizing your project, I have talked about it, where you create a folder, you add a file in it. You have to use meaningful names. You don't just go about writing anything you want as a file name, you know. And one thing I want you to note is when you are giving your file a name, there are some rules you have to follow. Listen carefully. Now, the first one is you have to write everything in lowercase, strictly lowercase. You don't go writing it with capital letter. You might write that and you'll still be seeing your page where you will code, but then at the end of the whole thing, you'll be getting errors. So it's best to stick with a lowercase. Whatever name you want to give, whatever meaningful name you want to give, must be in lowercase. So now when you are also writing a name, you don't give it a space. Don't add any space to your name. You don't just, let me show you. You don't just, let's say I want to create another file. You don't do this. You give space websites dot HTML. This is very wrong. It will open, but like I said, at the end of the whole thing, it will throw errors. This is very wrong. You don't do it. Now, if you want to do something like this, if you know you are going to write a long name, like your ball, my football, my website, you need to add a hyphen or an underscore. So let's say my hyphen ball, but you do not forget your .html. That is the most important thing. So now this is a correct way of naming it. If you don't want to use the hyphen, you use an underscore. Now that's good. We'll move. Now that you know how to name your file and everything you need to know about the VS Code, it's time to start writing our HTML. Good. What is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it was invented by this genius you are seeing right here on my screen, named Tim Berners-Lee, and he created this in 1993. Now, this is the language that every website, all the websites you see, is built with. For you to, okay, now let's imagine this. The HTML is just like the bricks you use in building your house. It helps you create structure. That doesn't mean it paints the house for you. You use a brick to build your house, and then you still buy an extra paint to make your house colorful and flowers to decorate your house. That's not the job of the HTML. It only provides the structure for you. You get? So now for you to do anything in a website, you need to know your HTML. And the fun thing about this is that there are over 100 tags, HTML tags, and these are the codes, over 100 codes you use for building your websites. So why do we need HTML? Like I told you, it is like the skeleton of your website. Without HTML, there's no website. There's no point. If you don't have if you don't write HTML, the browser has nothing to see. So HTML tells the browser what to show. Now, HTML versus websites. Now, you can see this. You see this code right here. It says a HTML code, HTML tags. Like you can see the head, you can see the body, you can see the A. These are tags, these are codes. And now this is what appeared when the browser read this. You see, it's not showing anything like head on the browser, but you can see the click me here. So everything that happens behind the scene is the HTML. It's your code communicating with the browser. So now you'll be learning how to do these things yourself. Okay, now the HTML tag is an anchor tag. HTML uses tags to mark different parts of a page. It's an anchor tag. Can you see this image over here? So this is how it looks. The tag looks like your greater than and less than thing. It's just an angle bracket for it opens and also it closes. The first bracket, the first anchor tag opens the HTML for you, and the other one must have a slash which closes it for you. What the slash does is the slash tells you I'm done, but then it will not be empty. You can't just write you can't just do something like this and think the browser will understand what you are saying. It has a lot of things, something that will be in here and another content that will be in between the tags. Now let's continue. Now there are a lot of HTML tags. You have the paragraph, you have the H1, you have the div. These are tags and I'll be showing you most of them today. So now this is what the basic structure of HTML looks like. Now you can see this image here, the doc type. It tells the browser that this is HTML, this is the doc type. It is always at the top. That's the first thing you see in your VS Code. It tells the browser that, okay, it's HTML that we are writing right now. And then the second thing you see is HTML tag itself. This is what, okay, when you write this HTML tag, can you see where we wrote the tag? The ending and or the closing tag is also right here at the bottom of the page. What HTML does is it's your house, like I said before. It's if you open the tag, you give a space, that's where you add a content, and then you close it. Now, in between the two tags, the opening and the closing, that's where you put everything you want to put for this particular web page. Now, the next thing that comes after the HTML is the head. Now, this is the head. The head is just like the brain. It is the brain of the web page. Anything you put into the head is not seen on the web page physically. It is just behind the scene, like the title. This title here is not seen when you add it. You just see it at the head. I told you it is the head. So when you put that title or a link, anything you add to the head belongs to the head. It is not inside the page. The next thing you see is body. Now, body is where you add any content you add inside this body, any tag, any other tag you add inside this body is what makes up your web page. That is what you will be seeing. Let me show you what I mean. So now we'll be writing our doc type. It's already giving me an option. I'll click on it. The doc type doesn't have a close. There are some tags that do not need a closing tag, but then this particular doc type doesn't require it. The next one is the HTML tag. Now, this is how you write a tag. You press this. This is the angle bracket. You write HTML, and then you close it using the other brackets. Now that I closed it, it's automatically completed it for me. So even if you do not want that, you can still write it out yourself. It doesn't matter. Do not forget your backslash. Now VS Code just edits everything, makes it pretty easy for you. So we already have this, and like I said, this is what houses everything. So it has to open up and give space for other things to be added. Now that I have opened the HTML, I'll be adding the head. I told you the head is just like the brain that houses it. And what goes into the head, you can see your title there. My website. You can see your link. It gives you a suggestion, and you have to only click on enter, and it provides the rest of the information for you. So now I want us to preview our page, our file. Now I am not making use of, okay, I'm not writing everything in my ball.html. So I'll get rid of the ones I do not need for now. I will delete this so that will be on the same page. I will delete this one. So now this one, to view your work using live server, you right click on the file and go to the part that says open with live server. Now let's open it up. There is nothing here apart from the title that you are seeing. So this is because we have not added a single thing to the page. Now let's see what happens now. The next tag I told you we have to add is the body. Now I am adding this. So let me show you what other tags do so that we can follow, you can all follow with me. So like I said, the HTML tag is the root. At the beginning of everything, and everything starts with HTML. We have heading tags. That's another tag we need to look at. The heading tag is, it has 6 tags. The H1, it has the H2, it has the H3. Can you see my image right here? It has the H4, it has the H5, and then finally the H6. H1 is, these are just font sizes. When you see H1, don't think it's something complicated. These are just sizes, and H1 is the biggest size. Now look at what it looks like. Let me show you. Now in the body, still, because you want this to appear on your web page, anything you want to appear on your web page will have to be written here. If you go outside the body, then I don't know who you are writing that for. Now, in the body, you write the H1, you enter. I don't need to enter. You don't have to, but you can. It still recognizes it. Now, what I want to write in the H1 is my hobby, singing. Or let's just use one word so that we'll see the different sizes of the header tag. I will say hello for my H1. For my H2, I will say hello. For H3, I will still say hello. And then for H4, same thing. H5, same thing. And then finally H6 will do the same thing. So now let's preview this and see what it looks like. Now look at the different sizes of our halo. This is the H1 and it's bigger. It's the biggest. But the H2 is bigger than the H3, while the H3 is bigger than the H4. And it continues. So we have only from H1 to H6 as a tag name. Now let's go back. Next thing we have to know is the paragraph tag. This is, it's always smaller. This is where you add your text. Normally, in the header tag, the H1, you add text as well, but they come out bigger. It is for your headings. Now, the paragraph tag tends to be smaller. This is what it looks like. This is what the tag looks like, but we're doing that now. So, also inside the body, we'll be writing the P, angle bracket, P, angle bracket. It's completing it for me, but just know that you are meant to open and close the tag. Then in between our P, that is where you write your content, and the content is how are you? How are you? Okay, let's see what it looks like. Now you go to your file, you click on live server, and then now the text is here and it says, how are you? So this is how you add tiny text like this using paragraph, the paragraph tag, P tag. And there's something called the line break tag. So now this is it. When you have a long text and you want it to go over to the next line, or when you want to add an extra space, just anything, just if you want to give a space to what you are writing, you need the break. Let me show you how you use it. Now I will add another tag just so you know you don't just use tags once. You can use it as many times as possible. I'll be using the paragraph tag again. All right. This is my first website, and I am super happy. So now my intention is to make something long that we can break. So let's look at what it looks like first using the live preview. Now look at it. So now the plan is this. I want my and from this point, and I'm super happy to go to the next line. How do I do this? Now let me show you. So you go in between, just before your and, right here, and you do your anchor thing. Write your B arrow and close it. This is the break tag. So let's see what it looks like. Now see, your line is now down here. So I feel it's too clustered. It's close to each other. I want to add more space. How do I do that? I can still add an extra break to give me a double space. Let's check it out. Now this is it. Lovely. So let's continue. You can also add a strong tag. What does a strong tag do for you? It makes your text bold. Just like when we created our Google Sites website, you are given the opportunity to highlight a text and click on V to make it bold. But then this is coding. You do everything from scratch. You use your code to build everything. Now there's a tag for it. It is called the strong tag. Now I will show you how you can use that. So any text you add in between that strong tag comes out bold. So let me show you. I'll be writing strong. Okay, now let's not forget our angle bracket. Strong. Then I want to say, how are you? Again. Now let's preview. Now it's bold. Now look at how the P tag, how are you, looks like. It's light, while this one is bold. That's what the strong does for you. So we'll go back to this. Now we have something else called the list tag. What does the list tag do for you? Just like when you want to go shopping, you get your book and you write out, number 1, you want to buy this, number 2, you want to buy this. Just creating a list for yourself. For you to do that and using a code, using in your website, for you to add that, you use something called the OL tag, which stands for ordered list. What this does for you is it creates numbers. Now you can see this example here of ordered list. When you do the OL, you also need to add a tag called the LI, which is the list item. It is compulsory. Whether you are creating the ordered list or the unordered list, now the ordered list makes it come out as a number, 1, 2, just numbers it for you, depending on how many lists you add in between. While the unordered list comes out as bullet points. So now, let's see what it looks like in our code. So the first thing we'll be adding is the ordered list. So for this, you write your LI in between again. Now, what do I want to get? I want to get an apple, then another list. What do I want to get? Mango, then another list. You can add as much as you want, but I will leave it as 3. The other one is, let's say, orange. Orange. Okay. Let's see what it looks like. Now this is it. It comes out with numbers. It comes out numbered. That's amazing. So now let's see how the unordered list comes out. For the unordered list, you start with UL instead of OL, unordered lists. Then I'll also add a list. So like I said before, whether it is unordered or ordered, it has to have the list inside. That's what arranges it for you. So I'm also going to repeat the same thing. Apple, another list, mango, then the last one, orange. Let's see what it looks like. You see, it comes out in bullet points and not numbers because this one is unordered. Okay, I just hope we are all following. Now we'll go to the next tag. Now this is the link tag where you use the A which stands for anchor tag to create links to pages. Now this A comes in with a href, and that href is where you add your link, your address. Now this is what happens when you create an anchor tag. You create this anchor tag using the opening and closing tags. Then in between the anchor tag, you write a text or whatever thing. If it can be an image, whatever thing you want someone to click on that will take them to the link. Then the anchor tag comes with a href. Let me show you in the code. We need to add a link, the anchor tag. Now when you click on the A, it brings out this for you. But if yours doesn't, you can still type it out yourself. href equal to, you close it. Now, I want when you click this, it takes you to Google. Let's preview. Now, when we click on the click me, it should be able to, okay, yes, it worked. It should be able to take us to google.com. You see, so we'll go back. The next one is the image tag. Now, the image tag is where you add your image. This is not the time you used to drag and drop an image. This time around, you have to do everything yourself. Okay, now, the image tag does not need an opening tag. It is self-closing. And it needs this source, which is the src. This is where you now add the image name for it to reflect in your browser. This is what the tag looks like. It's img. Now let's see how it's done. Okay, so for me personally, I told you it's good to keep your work structured, to keep your folder well arranged. So now that I have a file here, I just don't want to drag and drop an image. I can do that, but then I want it to be in a folder so that I can know that, okay, this is where my image is. This folder is where my image is. So I'll be creating a folder for that. Now, this is where you can create a folder. This is where you create a file, while this is where you create a folder. You can also create a folder here, where you can create a new folder. Now, I will give it a name. My folder name should be image, or let's make it images. This is where I will be storing my images. Now, you can always decide to go to your file explorer, go to the desktop, or anywhere you have your image stored, and drag and drop it inside your folder, like I'm doing right now. I have dropped this. I want to drop another here. I've added the second one. Or you can decide to just open your file explorer and then go to your desktop and go to your website. If you click on where you created a folder in your desktop, now that you've added a file there, if you go to your file explorer and open that folder, you'll see the file inside. So now I created a folder inside the VS Code, and it is here right now. You can also decide to create that folder right here by right-clicking and then creating a folder. But since I already have a folder, no need for that. This is for you if you haven't done this. So now, you can always decide to, now this image is also here, you can decide to go to anywhere you want to get an image, copy it, go back to your desktop, go back to your website, open it, or you can even decide to drop it here. You can decide to drop it outside if you don't want to give it a name. If you don't want to give it, if you don't want to put it in a folder, you can just keep it out here, even though it will look messy, but then it is very possible. Now let me show you how you can add the images. Now this is already added. You can see that I added 2 images initially, but then when I went to the file explorer and added another one, it's still reflected here. So now the first thing we'll be doing is to add this image. Now you see I have 2 images inside my images folder, and I still have one lying around. It doesn't belong to any place. It is just outside. That's still fine. Now let me show you how you add your image. Click on this, write your img tag, and then source. Now this part is where you add the name of your folder. So I have a folder called images. Now as I am typing it, it's already giving me a clue. Now I'll click on this images, click on it, and then click on the image I have there. Now don't forget to add the other angle bracket. Now let's see if this will show in our browser. Perfect. The image is out. It is right here. Now, another way is if you know your file is not inside a folder, you can always add it this way. You write the img, just like I have one lying around. You now do this. Go there and just write the name, which is cheerful. It popped out. You don't need to call the folder anymore since it's not inside any folder. But if it's inside a folder, you have to call the folder name. Now let's check if this is out. It is. So you can add it anywhere. You can put it in a folder, or you can decide to just leave it there together with other files you have. Now let's go back to our class. Now you also have the div tags. This is just like a container where you store different elements. When you write the div, you can just decide to put anything you want to, just like the example here, the div that houses the H2 and also houses the P. Let me show you how it is done. This is the div. It's just a container. It just shields everything for you. Div will be adding a paragraph, hello, and then a H2 that says hello as well. So when you open it, you still see it. Hello and another hello. Just they are together. You cannot see the container physically, but they are together. These two are in one container. Don't worry, as we learn how to style, you see why the div is very important. The next thing on our list is the section. Section does almost the same thing as your div. It keeps, it gives it a section, just arranges it for you that this is the part you want to work on. You just write the section tag and put your content inside. And what are these contents I'm talking about? These tags. It helps organize your page. So the last one, I already told you about the header tags, the different tags, which houses the H1, H2, H3, and H4. Now the last one we'll be talking about is the footer tag. Now I already told you about the footer, and when I taught you the introduction of website development, I told you what the footer does, and that's the bottom part of your page. That's where you write contact information, just a whole lot of things that people might need to know, like links, how to reach you and all, or your social media handles. So now we'll be adding something to our footer. Now this is the footer tag. You just write footer, and then you say copyright. But then let me do it this way. There are so many ways you can style your footer, but I just want to do something all of us can do. Made by me, 2025. All rights reserved. Good. So now the last thing I'll be teaching you is how to add a comment to your code. Now, what does the comment do? It makes your, now assuming you have, let's go back to the code so I can show you something. Assuming you have, let's use this list for an instance. You have this list, and then all of a sudden you feel you don't need it on your web page anymore, but then you also don't want to delete it because you might need it later. What do? How do you make it disappear from your page? You do that by adding a comment. Now, how do you do it? You highlight, and then you press the Control and slash. Look at how it's looking. When you see something that looks like this, green like this, it is a comment. It's not appearing in your web page, and it is not out of your code either until you decide to delete it. So now let me show you the before and the after. This is it. This is our list tag. We had the ordered and the unordered. Now I want to get rid of the ordered list, which is the number. How do I get rid of it? By coming here, I will highlight the ordered list from the opening to the closing, and then I'll click on Control and slash. Now this is a let's see if it will disappear from the page. Wonderful, it's out. It is out, but it is still in our code. If we need it, we can always come for it. Now, how do you uncomment it? You either delete these lines here, this dot, dot, and angle here, and delete this other one, or you can just decide to highlight it all over again and press the same thing, which is Control and slash. That's wonderful. Now let's check if it is out. Now it is out again. Wonderful. Okay, now the final thing is your challenge. I want you to create a personal profile page with a heading which has your name, a paragraph about yourself, a list of your favorite things, and a link to your favorite website. I hope you can do that. I'll see you next time. Bye.